I mean, like you said
Right.
it yourself, and you said as they were advancing and they came out in Arrowhead, like that's not a common thing. And the
Right.
way that they were able to stagger their firing, like again, that's not a common
Yeah.
frontal like forethought initially thought thing. Like that's something that requires training.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's that's insane.
Yeah. Training and discipline. Like it's, yeah. So, I mean, you know, it was after the fact we found out all this stuff. And, I mean, there was some anger, there was some resentment, there was some bitterness, there was kind of all those things. And, I remember thinking to myself, well, you can't spend your life angry. You can't spend your life sort of grieving. You got to celebrate, those guys that gave up their lives. Like, Bryce Keller, I mean, there's a great story right there. And here's the unfortunate reality of the death of Bryce Keller is that, Vaughn is dead, right? Vaughn was controlling the gun. Bryce is firing a C6, and he's giving her, and it's 50 plus degrees Celsius out. There's 3, 4 foot flames coming off the end of that thing. Like he is a target. There's
Mhm.
absolutely no doubt about it. Um, but what do you do when you talk about the Mark Bedards, right? The Mark who was the number two, who was lucky enough to be, that far enough removed that he didn't get hurt. And the sergeant and the number one on the gun are now dead. But what do you do with a Mark Bedard who ran across that field with me? And you put a statement in and you say, hey, I think this guy deserves some recognition because what he did was extremely brave. And the answer you get is, well, yeah, well, we need a second witness statement. And I go, well, the other guy is now no longer with us. So, what do you want me to do? And the inference was basically get someone to write something. And I'm like, that's not how we operate. We don't lie. We don't fabricate this stuff because it's too important when you recognize somebody for valor, bravery, whatever the case may be, to get it right. And having people fabricate stuff is not how we do business. Never ever, right? But that guy goes unnoticed. Curtis Qualche, the guy that I said he gets shot like 2 or 3 times and he had chunks missing out of him. This is a kid that crawls across the floor, grabs me by the ankle. I'm standing in the doorway. He's got 3 tourniquets on, right? He can't stand up. And he's like, give me a gun. I want to fight. And I'm like, dude, you're out. You're out. You're done. And he says, no, give me a gun. I want to fight. I can do something. So I put a C9 in front of him and pointed him in, a westerly direction and said, okay, make sure nobody attacks us from over there. Right. But he still wants to fight. No mention in dispatch. No, like nothing. Right. Because I'm the only guy that interacted with him at that point in time. There's no second witness statement. But that's the stuff of legend right there.
Mhm.
Right. Meanwhile, guys are saying, oh, Willie did a great job here and Willie did a great job there. And, like I shared with you earlier, I was that close, man, to just quitting. And if it wasn't for, those troops looking at me and in their eyes saying, hey, you got to be in charge right now, and my ego getting in the way, maybe a different story, right? But there's so many things. And I know there's probably a ton of people you talk to and you hear this stuff all the time, that these incredible acts of bravery. And it's important to get those stories out because it's not just about pinning a medal on somebody. It's about giving them the recognition that they deserve for the things that they did, the things that were meaningful, the things that saved people's lives. Those are the important things. I was